Eleanor Pierce had tested 27 men in the past 2 years, 27 dates where she showed up in thrift store clothes, tangled hair, and a story about unemployment. 27 times she watched their eyes change the moment they realized she couldn't offer them anything. Tonight, sitting in a vinyl booth at a diner outside Boston, she expected number 28 to be no different. But when Noah Turner slid into the seat across from her, still wearing grease stains from his shift at the garage, something in the air shifted. When she admitted she couldn't afford to pay for her meal, he didn't flinch. He simply smiled and said, "Don't worry about it. I just picked up an extra shift. Dinner's on me." For the first time in 27 tests, Eleanor Pierce had no idea what to say next. She had introduced herself as Ellie, just Ellie, a woman between jobs, renting a room month to month, getting by on whatever temp work she could find. The lies came easily now, worn smooth from repetition. She watched Noah's face for the familiar signs of retreat, the subtle calculations men made when they realized a woman had nothing to offer them. But Noah simply nodded, as if financial struggle was the most ordinary thing in the world, because for him, it was. He told her about his work at the garage, the way he could diagnose an engine problem just by listening. 12 years of grease under his fingernails and transmissions that refused to cooperate. He spoke about it without shame, without the defensive pride she'd seen in other men who felt the need to justify their blue-collar existence. Noah Turner simply was who he was, and he seemed entirely comfortable with that fact.
Eleanor found herself asking questions she hadn't planned, about his favorite repair jobs, about the satisfaction of fixing something broken. He laughed at that, a warm sound that seemed to come from somewhere deep in his chest. "There's something honest about mechanical work," he said. "The problem is either fixed or it isn't. No pretending."
She felt the irony of that statement settle into her bones. The diner was half empty, the kind of place that served breakfast all day and didn't judge you for ordering coffee at 9 in the evening. A television mounted in the corner played a muted basketball game. The waitress knew Noah by name, asked about his daughter. Eleanor filed that information away, another piece of the puzzle she was assembling. Halfway through their meal, Noah's phone buzzed. He glanced at the screen, and his entire demeanor changed. The casual ease softened into something tender, something almost fragile. "I'm sorry," he said to Eleanor. "I need to take this." She nodded, pretending to focus on her plate while listening to his end of the conversation. "Hey, sweetheart. I know. Daddy misses you too." His voice dropped to something just above a whisper. "Did you brush your teeth? Good girl. I'll be home soon, okay? I promise." When he hung up, there was a moment of vulnerability in his eyes that he quickly tried to hide. "My daughter," he explained, "Lily, she's 7, has trouble falling asleep if I don't call to say goodnight." "You don't have to apologize for that. Most people don't want to hear about someone else's kid on a first date." Eleanor thought about the 27 men who had come before, the ones who bragged about their cars, their investments, their plans for early retirement. Not one of them had ever stopped a date to wish their child good night. "I think it's sweet," she said, and meant it. Noah studied her for a moment, as if trying to determine whether she was being sincere. Whatever he saw must have satisfied him, because he relaxed slightly. "She's the best thing that ever happened to me. Her mom left when Lily was 2, just decided motherhood wasn't for her." He shrugged, but Eleanor could see the old wound beneath the gesture. "So it's just been the 2 of us ever since." "That must be hard, doing it alone." "It has its moments." He took a sip of his coffee. "But Lily makes everything worth it. She's got this laugh, like everything in the world is funny and wonderful, and she can't believe she gets to be part of it." He stopped himself, seemingly embarrassed. "Sorry, I talk about her too much." "No," Eleanor said. "Please, tell me more." And he did. He told her about Lily's obsession with dinosaurs, her refusal to wear anything except purple, her belief that the moon followed their car at night specifically to keep her company. He spoke about his daughter the way some men spoke about their accomplishments, their portfolios, their corner offices. With pride, yes, but also with a kind of wonder that suggested he still couldn't believe his luck. Eleanor had conducted 27 tests. She had watched men reveal themselves through their reactions to her fictional poverty. But sitting across from Noah Turner, listening to him describe his daughter's gap-toothed smile, she realized she had never actually learned anything about love, only about its absence. The check came, and Eleanor watched Noah reach for it without hesitation. She knew his bank account was probably as thin as the story she'd invented for herself. She knew an extra shift at the garage meant exhaustion, sore muscles, another night of falling asleep in front of the television. And still, he reached for the check, because that was who he was. Something cracked inside her, some wall she had built over years of disappointment and betrayal. She excused herself to use the restroom, then quietly approached the counter and paid for both their meals with cash she had hidden in her sock, a small deception within a larger one. When she returned to the table, Noah was putting on his jacket. Ready to go? They walked outside together, the October air carrying the first real bite of autumn. Eleanor pulled her cheap hoodie tighter and prepared to say goodnight, to disappear back into a real life where none of this would matter. But before she could speak, Noah touched her arm.
Hey, the waitress told me you paid.
Eleanor's heart stuttered. I wanted to. Ellie. His voice was gentle but firm. You told me you're struggling. You didn't have to do that. It's fine. I had a little extra this week. That's not the point. He was looking at her with an expression she couldn't quite read. Concern, maybe, or something deeper. You shouldn't be spending money on me when you need it for yourself. 27 men. Not one of them had ever chased her into a parking lot to return the kindness she had shown them. Not one had ever looked at her with genuine worry about her well-being. Eleanor felt tears threatening and forced them back. Let me pay you back, Noah said. Please. No, I wanted to do something nice for you. For once. For once? He tilted his head. Ellie, this was our first date. She had slipped. The words had escaped before she could catch them, revealing more than she intended. For once. As if she had been waiting her whole life to meet someone worth being generous toward. As if all those other dates had been merely practice for this moment. I just meant... She struggled to recover. You were kind to me. I wanted to be kind back. Noah was quiet for a long moment. Then he smiled, and something in Eleanor's chest unlocked. Okay, he said, but next time, I'm paying. Deal? Next time. The words hung in the cold air between them, warm with promise. Deal, she whispered. They stood there in the parking lot, neither quite ready to leave. Above them, the moon was nearly full, casting silver light across the cracked asphalt. Eleanor thought about Lily, believing the moon followed her car just to keep her company. Maybe the little girl was right. Maybe some things did follow us through the darkness, not because we deserved them, but simply because they wanted to. Can I ask you something? Noah said suddenly. Eleanor tensed. Sure. Why did you agree to this date? I mean, we matched on that app, but... He gestured at himself, at the grease stains, the worn jacket, the general appearance of a man who worked with his hands and had little to show for it. I'm not exactly what most women are looking for. The question caught her off guard. In all her tests, she had never considered that the men might be testing her too. That Noah might have his own history of rejection, his own reasons for approaching love with caution. I liked your profile, she said carefully. You seemed real. Real? He laughed softly. That's one word for it. I mean it. Everyone else was trying so hard to impress. Vacation photos, gym selfies, lists of accomplishments. But you just had that picture of you and Lily at the park, both of you covered in ice cream. She smiled at the memory. You looked happy, actually happy, not performing happiness for the camera. Noah's expression shifted into something vulnerable. That was a good day. She had just learned to pump her legs on the swing by herself, thought she was flying. See? That's what I mean. You remember the moment, not how it looked. They stood in silence again, but it was comfortable now, easy. Eleanor realized she didn't want to go home, didn't want to return to her penthouse apartment with its stunning views and empty rooms, didn't want to be Eleanor Pierce, CEO, woman who had everything except someone to share it with. A taxi pulled into the diner parking lot, looking for a fare. Eleanor raised her hand to flag it down, already dreading the return to reality. The driver pulled up alongside them and rolled down his window. Where to? Before Eleanor could answer, the driver squinted at her face. His eyes widened slightly. Hey, wait a minute. You look really familiar. You're that CEO, aren't you? Pierce something. I saw you on the news last week. Eleanor's blood turned to ice. The tech company lady, the driver continued, warming to his recognition. Eleanor Pierce. My wife follows all that business stuff. She'd freak out if she knew I picked you up. Noah was looking at her now, confusion creasing his forehead. Eleanor felt the careful architecture of her deception beginning to crumble. I think you have me confused with someone else, she managed. No, I'm sure of it. Same face, same... Eleanor coughed loudly, dramatically, clutching her throat. Sorry, I've been fighting this cold all week. She coughed again, turning away from Noah, using the moment to compose herself. Wrong person, I promise. I get that a lot, though. Must have one of those faces. The driver shrugged, losing interest. Whatever you say. You getting in or what? Yes, I am. She turned to Noah, hoping the dim light hid the panic in her eyes. Thank you for tonight, really. Noah was still watching her with that thoughtful expression. You sure you're okay? You seem... I'm fine, just tired, long week. She opened the taxi door, desperate to escape. I'll text you. Ellie. She paused, one foot in the car. I had a really good time tonight, Noah said. Whatever that guy thought he saw, it doesn't matter to me. I know who you are. Hit her like a physical blow. He knew who she was, except he didn't. He knew Ellie, the struggling temp worker, the woman who couldn't afford dinner. He didn't know Eleanor, the woman who had orchestrated this entire evening as a test he had passed without even knowing he was being examined. Good night, Noah, she whispered, and closed the door before he could see her tears. The taxi pulled away, and Eleanor watched Noah grow smaller in the rear window. He stood in the parking lot until she couldn't see him anymore, a man in a worn jacket under a following moon, waiting to make sure she got safely on her way. 4 days later, Noah called. Eleanor was in the middle of a board meeting, watching her executives argue about quarterly projections when her personal phone buzzed with an unfamiliar number. She ignored it. Then it buzzed again with a text message. Hey, it's Noah. Lily and I are going to the farmer's market on Saturday. Would love if you could join us. No pressure. Just thought it might be nice. Eleanor stared at the message while her CFO droned on about market share. The farmer's market. Not a fancy restaurant, not a rooftop bar, not any of the places men usually took her when they were trying to impress. Just a Saturday morning with a single dad and his 7-year-old daughter, wandering between stalls of organic vegetables and homemade jam. She should say no. Every instinct told her to end this now, before it went further, before she had to tell more lies, before she fell deeper into something she couldn't control. She typed back. Saturday arrived, painted in the golden light of early autumn. Eleanor spent an embarrassing amount of time selecting an outfit that looked appropriately budget-conscious while still flattering. She took a taxi to the market, asked to be dropped off 2 blocks away, and walked the rest of the distance with her heart pounding against her ribs. She saw them before they saw her. Noah was crouched beside a stall selling apple cider, pointing at something while Lily bounced on her heels with excitement. The little girl was wearing purple from head to toe, including purple sneakers that lit up when she walked. Her blonde hair was gathered in 2 uneven pigtails that Noah had clearly attempted himself. Eleanor approached slowly, suddenly nervous in a way she hadn't felt since her first investor pitch a decade ago. "Hey." Noah looked up, and his smile could have powered the entire market. "You made it!" "I made it." Lily tugged on her father's sleeve. "Daddy, is this her? Is this Ellie?" "This is her, sweetheart." The little girl studied Eleanor with the unfiltered intensity that only children possess. Then she broke into a grin that revealed 2 missing front teeth. "Daddy said you're really nice. Are you really nice?" Eleanor knelt to meet Lily's eyes. "I try to be. Are you really nice?" Lily considered this seriously. "Mostly, except when Tommy Kirkland steals my crayons, then I'm medium nice." "That seems fair." Lily reached out and took Eleanor's hand as if they had known each other for years. "Come on, Daddy said I could pick out a pumpkin. You can help me find the best one." They wandered through the market together, Lily chattering constantly about her school, her friends, her absolute certainty that she would be a paleontologist astronaut when she grew up. Noah walked beside Eleanor, close enough that their shoulders occasionally brushed. He didn't try to fill every silence with conversation. He seemed content simply to be present, to exist in the same space as her. They bought apple cider donuts and sat on a bench while Lily ran circles around a fountain. Eleanor watched the little girl's purple sneakers flash with each step and felt something dangerous blooming in her chest. "She's amazing," Eleanor said. "She is." Noah's voice was soft. "She's also exhausting, but in the best way." "I can imagine." Noah turned to look at her. "Can I ask you something personal?" Eleanor's guard immediately rose. "Depends on how personal." "Do you want kids someday?" It was a question she had been asked before, usually by men calculating whether she was worth the investment, but Noah asked it differently, as if he genuinely wanted to know, as if her answer wouldn't change how he saw her. "I don't know," she admitted. "I always thought I would, but then life got busy, and years kept passing, and now I'm 34, and I've never been in a relationship that lasted long enough to even consider it." 34 isn't old. It's not young either, not for that. Noah was quiet for a moment. "My wife left when Lily was 2, he said. "For a long time, I thought it was my fault, that I hadn't been enough, hadn't made enough money, hadn't been exciting enough, hadn't been whatever she needed." He watched his daughter spin in circles, arms outstretched. "But now, I think some people just aren't meant to stay, and the ones who are, they don't need you to be anything other than who you are." Eleanor felt the weight of her deception pressing down on her. Who she was. He had no idea who she was. The woman sitting beside him on this bench was a fiction, a character she had invented to protect herself from exactly this kind of vulnerability. "Noah." "Daddy!" Lily came running over, her cheeks flushed. "My legs are tired. Can you carry me?" Noah grinned and scooped his daughter onto his back. Lily wrapped her arms around his neck and rested her chin on his shoulder, immediately content. Eleanor watched them together, this man who had every reason to be bitter about love, but had somehow remained open to it. This child who trusted the world completely because her father had made it safe enough to trust. "What were you going to say?" Noah asked. Eleanor shook her head. "Nothing. It wasn't important." But it was. It was perhaps the most important thing she had ever almost said. And she had swallowed it back down, letting the lie continue, because she was too afraid of what the truth might cost her. They kept walking through the market, Lily heavy on Noah's back, Eleanor beside them, pretending to be someone she wasn't. And with every step, she fell a little more in love with this family that wasn't hers, with this life she had no right to want. The sky had been threatening all morning, but the rain held off until they were on the far side of the market, examining a display of handmade jewelry. Then it came all at once, a sudden downpour that sent vendors scrambling to cover their goods and customers running for shelter.
Quick! Noah grabbed Eleanor's hand and pulled her toward the nearest awning. Lily shrieked with delighted terror from her perch on his back. They ducked into a small used bookstore just as the rain intensified into a proper storm.
The shop was warm and cluttered, stuffed with volumes that looked like they had been accumulating since the building was constructed. An elderly woman behind the counter barely glanced up from her crossword puzzle. Browse as long as you like, just don't bend the spines.
Noah set Lily down, and the girl immediately began exploring, her purple sneakers leaving wet prints on the wooden floor. Eleanor shivered. The rain had caught the edge of her hoodie, and the cheap fabric was soaked through.
Here. Noah was already shrugging off his jacket. Take this. No, you'll be cold. I run hot. Always have. He draped the jacket over her shoulders before she could protest further. It smelled like motor oil and coffee, and something warmer underneath. It smelled like him.
Thank you,
Eleanor whispered.
They stood by the window, watching the rain transform the street into a river. Lily had found a picture book about dinosaurs and was completely absorbed. The elderly shopkeeper hummed softly to herself, and Eleanor Pierce, CEO of a billion-dollar company, felt more at peace than she had in years.
Ellie, Noah's voice was soft. I keep feeling like there's something you want to tell me.
Her heart seized. What do you mean?
I don't know, just a feeling. He turned to face her. Whatever it is, you can tell me. I'm not going to judge you. This was her moment. Right here in this dusty bookshop, while the rain came down and his daughter read about velociraptors. She could tell him everything. About the company, the tests, the lies. About why she had been so desperate to find someone real that she had resorted to deception. About how terrified she was that once he knew the truth, he would look at her differently. She faltered. There are things about me that might surprise you. Everyone has things like that. Not like this. She looked at him, at his kind eyes and patient expression, and felt her courage crumble. I want to tell you. I do. I need more time. Noah nodded slowly. Okay. Take whatever time you need. You're not going to push? Would pushing help? No. Then no, I'm not going to push. He smiled, but there was something sad in it. I learned a long time ago that people tell you things when they're ready, not when you demand it. Lily ran over, clutching the dinosaur book. Daddy, can we get this? Please, please, please! Noah checked the price tag and winced almost imperceptibly. Maybe for your birthday, sweetheart. But my birthday is forever away! Eleanor saw the struggle in his face, the desire to give his daughter everything warring with the reality of his bank account. Before she could think, she plucked the book from Lily's hands. I'll get it. Consider it a thank you for letting me crash your Saturday. Ellie, you don't have to. I want to. She walked to the counter before Noah could stop her, paid the $8.50, and handed the book back to a beaming Lily. There you go. Thank you, thank you, thank you! Lily hugged the book to her chest like a treasure. Then she hugged Eleanor's legs with equal fervor. You're the nicest person ever! Except for Daddy, and maybe Grandma. You're top 3. Eleanor laughed, and the sound surprised her. It was unguarded, genuine, free of the careful control she usually maintained. When she looked up, Noah was watching her with an expression that made her breath catch. The rain was slowing. Soon they would have to leave this warm shelter and return to their separate lives. Eleanor to her penthouse, Noah to his garage and his small apartment. The thought felt unbearable. "Same time next week?" Noah asked as they prepared to go. "Yes," Eleanor said, too quickly. "I mean, if you want." "I want." He held her gaze. "I really want." They parted outside the bookstore. Lily waved until Eleanor turned the corner, and Eleanor walked away wearing Noah's jacket, unable to bring herself to give it back. A week passed, then another. Eleanor invented excuses to see Noah and Lily, small outings that felt like borrowed happiness. A trip to the zoo, where Lily insisted on seeing the dinosaur exhibit 3 times. An afternoon at the park, where Noah taught Eleanor to throw a football. A rainy evening playing board games in Noah's small apartment while Lily laughed at Eleanor's competitive streak. With each meeting, Eleanor fell deeper, and with each meeting, her deception grew heavier. It happened on their 5th outing. They had taken Lily to an ice cream shop, and the little girl had managed to get chocolate sauce in her hair. Eleanor was helping clean up the mess when her sleeve rode up, revealing the watch on her wrist. A Patek Philippe, vintage, worth more than Noah's annual salary. She always wore it under her sleeve, a small piece of her real life that she couldn't quite leave behind. Noah's hand froze on the napkin he was holding. Eleanor followed his gaze and felt the blood drain from her face. "That's a nice watch," Noah said quietly. It was my grandmother's." Another lie. Quick and desperate. "Your grandmother had a $40,000 watch?" The number hung in the air between them. Of course he would know. He was a mechanic, a man who understood the value of finely crafted machinery. Of course he would recognize what she was wearing. "Ellie," his voice had changed, "is there something you want to tell me?" It's complicated." "Then uncomplicated." Lily had wandered off to look at the ice cream flavors, oblivious to the tension between the adults. Eleanor felt trapped, cornered by her own carelessness. "I'm not who you think I am," she whispered. "I'm starting to figure that out." Noah wasn't angry. That was the worst part. He sounded hurt, resigned, like he had been waiting for this moment, expecting it, dreading it. "Why don't you tell me who you actually are?" "I can't. Not yet. Please." "You're hiding something big." "Yes." "Something that's going to change how I see you?" "I don't know. Maybe." Noah looked at his daughter, then back at Eleanor. "I have to protect her. You understand that, right? I can't let someone into her life who's going to disappear." "I'm not going to disappear." "You say that, but you're also lying to me about something important." He shook his head slowly. "I want to trust you, Ellie, but trust has to be earned." "Then let me earn it. Give me a little more time." "I've been giving you time, and you keep finding reasons to wait." He stood up, gathering Lily's jacket. "I like you, I really do, but I've been hurt before by people who weren't honest with me, and I can't go through that again. Not with Lily watching." Eleanor felt tears burning behind her eyes. "Noah, please." "I need to think." He lifted Lily into his arms. "Come on, sweetheart. Time to go home." "But Ellie's coming too, right?" Noah glanced at Eleanor, and she saw the conflict in his eyes. "Not tonight, baby. Ellie has some things she needs to figure out." They left the ice cream shop, and Eleanor sat alone at the sticky table, watching through the window as they walked away. Lily kept turning around to wave, and each wave felt like a small blade sliding between her ribs. She had been so careful. 27 tests, designed to reveal the truth about men's intentions. And now she was the one being tested, found wanting, exposed as the liar she had become. Her phone buzzed. Her assistant, reminding her about tomorrow's shareholder meeting. Eleanor stared at the screen, at the life she had built that now felt like a prison. Then she put on her cheap hoodie and walked home alone. 3 days of silence. Eleanor checked her phone compulsively, wrote and deleted a dozen messages, threw herself into work to avoid thinking about what she had lost. On the 3rd night, she was leaving her office building when a man shoved a phone in her face. "Eleanor Pierce, can you comment on the rumors about the European expansion?" Paparazzi. She had been photographed hundreds of times, had learned to smile and offer nothing. But tonight, she was tired, off guard. Tonight, she stumbled backward and directly into another photographer who had circled behind her. The flash went off inches from her face. She saw spots, heard shouting, felt hands grabbing her arms. Her security team materialized and pushed through the crowd, but not before a dozen more photos were taken. By morning, her face was everywhere. Eleanor Pierce, tech mogul, billionaire, one of the most powerful women in America. The photos showed her looking startled, vulnerable, nothing like the polished image she usually presented. The headlines speculated about everything from corporate scandals to secret pregnancies. She thought about Noah, about whether he would see, about what he would think. At 2 in the afternoon, her personal phone rang with his number. "I saw the news," he said. No preamble, no greeting. Eleanor closed her eyes. "Noah." "You're Eleanor Pierce, the CEO." "Yes." A long silence. She could hear him breathing, could almost see him running his hand through his hair the way he did when he was processing something difficult. "You lied to me." "I know. About everything." "Not everything. Not the things that mattered." "How am I supposed to know what mattered when I don't even know what was true?" His voice cracked slightly. "I told you things, Ellie. Eleanor, whatever your name is. I told you about Sarah leaving, about how hard it's been, about my fears for Lily. I trusted you." "I know, and I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." "Why?" The question came out raw. "Why would you do this? What possible reason could you have for pretending to be someone else?" Eleanor pressed the phone against her ear, wishing she could reach through it and touch him. "Because I've been hurt too. Because men have used me for my money, my connections, my power. Because I needed to know if someone could want me without any of that." "So you tested me?" "Yes." "Like I was some kind of experiment?" "No, not like that. It wasn't about judging you. It was about protecting myself." "And lying to me was protection?" "I thought it was." Another silence. Longer this time. When Noah spoke again, his voice was tired, defeated. "I was starting to fall for you. Do you understand that? Not for Eleanor Pierce, the CEO. For Ellie, the woman who ate ice cream with my daughter and laughed at my bad jokes and made me believe that maybe I could have something good again." Tears were streaming down Eleanor's face now. "I was starting to fall for you too. That's why I couldn't tell you. That's why I kept waiting. I was so afraid." "Afraid of what?" "That once you knew who I really was, you'd see me differently. That you'd only see the money, the company, the power. That I'd become a CEO to you instead of just Ellie." "You were never just Ellie. She was a character you created." He exhaled heavily. "I have to go." "Noah, please, let me explain in person. Let me—" "I can't. Not right now. I need time to process this. And I need to figure out how to explain to Lily why you're not going to be at the farmer's market this weekend." The line went dead. Eleanor sat in her corner office, surrounded by floor-to-ceiling windows that overlook the city. She had everything she had ever worked for,
and none of it mattered.
2 days later, Eleanor was preparing for a press conference when her phone lit up with Noah's number. Her heart leaped, but the voice on the other end wasn't his.
"Eleanor? This is Grace, Noah's neighbor." The woman sounded panicked. "You need to come right away. Lily is missing."
The next few hours existed in fragments. Eleanor learned that Lily had overheard Noah talking to Grace about the situation, about Eleanor's lies, about his uncertainty. The little girl, already sensitive about people leaving, had concluded that she was somehow the problem, that if she went away, her father wouldn't be sad anymore. She had slipped out during her bath time, wandered into the park behind their apartment building. By the time anyone noticed, night had fallen, and so had the temperature.
Eleanor arrived at the park to find Noah at the center of a growing search party, his face gray with terror. He looked at her, and for a moment she thought he might send her away. Then his expression crumpled. "I can't find her," he said. "I can't find my little girl." She didn't hesitate. She pulled off her heels, ignored the cold, and ran into the darkness. The park was sprawling, full of trees and hidden corners where a small child could disappear. Eleanor called Lily's name until her voice went hoarse. She found her behind the old maintenance shed, huddled in a ball, shivering violently. The purple sneakers had stopped lighting up, their batteries drained from hours of walking. "Lily!" Eleanor dropped to her knees in the wet leaves. "Lily, sweetheart, it's me. It's Ellie." The little girl looked up. Her face was streaked with tears and dirt. "I wanted to run away so Daddy wouldn't be sad anymore." "Oh, honey." Eleanor pulled off her coat and wrapped it around the child's tiny body. "Your daddy isn't sad because of you. He's never sad because of you. You're the best thing in his whole life. But he was crying, and you stopped coming around. And it's my fault because I asked too many questions and made you not want to be my friend." Eleanor's heart shattered into pieces. "That's not true. None of that is true. Your daddy was sad because of something I did, because I made a mistake. It had nothing to do with you." She gathered Lily into her arms and stood up. The little girl weighed almost nothing, but also weighed everything. She was warm and trembling and alive, and Eleanor held her tight and started walking toward the searchlights. Noah met them at the edge of the park. He saw his daughter in Eleanor's arms and made a sound that didn't quite form into words. He took Lily, clutching her so tightly that the child squeaked, and buried his face in her hair. "Don't you ever," he said, his voice thick with tears, "don't you ever scare me like that again." "I'm sorry, Daddy. I'm sorry." Eleanor stood apart, watching them. She didn't belong in this moment. She had caused so much pain, had set into motion the sequence of events that led to a 7-year-old running into the night. She started to back away. "Eleanor." Noah's voice stopped her. He was looking at her over Lily's shoulder. "Thank you for finding her." "You would have found her." "Maybe, but you did." He shifted Lily to his hip, freeing one arm. Will you come back to the apartment, please? I think we need to talk." They walked together through the dark park, Lily falling asleep against her father's chest. The search party dispersed around them, relieved neighbors returning to their homes, and Eleanor followed Noah up 3 flights of stairs to a small apartment filled with purple everything, with dinosaur toys and crayon drawings, and the evidence of a love she had almost destroyed. Noah put Lily to bed, pulling the covers up to her chin and kissing her forehead. Eleanor watched from the doorway, something ancient and maternal stirring in her chest. "She asked about you every day," Noah said when he emerged. "Why doesn't Ellie come over anymore? Did Ellie forget about us? Is Ellie okay?" He led Eleanor to the small kitchen, poured them both water with shaking hands. "I didn't know what to tell her." "I'm sorry. For everything." "Tell me why."
He sat across from her at the tiny table. Not the summary, not the explanation you gave before. Tell me everything. So she did. She told him about Marcus, the first one, who had proposed after 3 months and then asked for a check to cover his business venture. About David, who leaked her private emails to a competitor in exchange for a job offer. About Ryan, who had seemed perfect until she found the prenup he'd had drawn up before their second date, carefully designed to extract maximum value if she ever filed for divorce. She told him about the walls she had built and the tests she had devised, about how watching men fail over and over had confirmed her belief that she was fundamentally unlovable without her money, about how meeting him had shattered that belief and terrified her at the same time. "I didn't mean to hurt you," she finished. "I was trying so hard not to get hurt myself that I didn't see what I was doing to you, to both of you." Noah was quiet for a long time. The apartment was silent except for the hum of the refrigerator and Lily's soft breathing from the other room. "I understand why you did it," he said finally. "I don't like it, but I understand it." "Does that mean you can forgive me?" "I'm working on it." He reached across the table and took her hand. "You know what Lily said to me after you found her tonight?" Eleanor shook her head. She said, "Daddy, Ellie came back for me. That means she loves us." His thumb traced circles on her palm. 7 years old, and she understands something I've been too scared to say out loud. Eleanor's breath caught. "Noah, I'm not good at this, at opening up, at trusting, but I want to try." He met her eyes. "Can we start over? No more tests, no more lies. Just you and me, figuring out if this is something real." "My life is complicated," she warned. "The company, the media, the expectations. It won't be easy." "Neither is being a single dad." He smiled slightly. "But some things are worth the hard parts." She stood up, crossed to his side of the table, and kissed him. It was soft and tentative, a question rather than an answer. When she pulled back, his eyes were shining. "Hi," she whispered. "I'm Eleanor. I'm the CEO of Pierce Technologies. I have too much money and not enough friends. I'm terrified of getting hurt, and I think I might be falling in love with you." "Hi, Eleanor." He pulled her closer. "I'm Noah. I fix cars and raise a daughter and live in a 1-bedroom apartment. I've been hurt before, and I'm probably too cautious, and I think I might be falling in love with you too." From the bedroom, a small voice called out, "Daddy, is Ellie staying?" Noah looked at Eleanor. Eleanor looked back. "Yes, sweetheart," he called. "Ellie's staying." 3 weeks later, Eleanor walked into the Pierce Technologies headquarters with Noah on one side and Lily on the other. The security guards did a double take. Her assistant dropped a stack of files. The elevator filled with silence as employees tried not to stare. "This is fun," Lily announced. "Everyone looks like fish." Eleanor laughed. The sound echoed off the marble walls, and she realized she had never actually laughed in this building before. She gave them the full tour. The offices where she had worked 18-hour days. The boardroom where she had outmaneuvered investors and competitors. The corner where she had once cried after a hostile takeover attempt, alone and overwhelmed and certain she would never be enough. Noah looked at everything with genuine interest, asking questions about how things worked, showing none of the intimidation she had feared. Lily pronounced the executive bathroom the fanciest potty ever and asked if they could install purple lights. That evening, Eleanor drove to the garage where Noah worked. She found him under a vintage Mustang, only his legs visible. "There's something I need to say," she announced. He slid out from under the car, grease on his cheek, looking impossibly handsome. "That sounds serious." "It is." She knelt beside him on the concrete floor, ruining what was probably a very expensive dress. I've spent my whole life trying to protect myself, building walls, creating tests, keeping everyone at a distance. But you walked right through all of it. I didn't do anything special. Yes, you did. You showed me what it looks like when someone loves without agenda, when someone shows up day after day just because they want to be there. She took his hand, not caring about the grease. You make me want to be better, braver, more honest. Noah sat up, pulling her closer. You don't have to change who you are. I know, but I want to. Not because you're asking me to, because you make me believe it's possible. She took a breath. I love you. I love the way you make Lily laugh. I love that you care more about people than money. I love that you saw through all my armor and wanted me anyway. He kissed her then, soft and slow, and Eleanor felt something settle into place inside her, something that had been restless her whole life, searching for a home. The garage door creaked, and they looked up to find Lily running toward them, Grace from next door following behind. Daddy! Ellie! Lily threw herself at both of them. You're hugging! Are you boyfriend and girlfriend now? Noah looked at Eleanor. Eleanor looked back. Yeah, sweetheart, Eleanor said. I think we are. Lily's grin could have powered the city. Does this mean you can come to the farmer's market every week and tuck me in sometimes and stay for breakfast? All of that, Eleanor promised, and more. They sat together on the garage floor, the three of them, while the evening light turned golden through the dirty windows. Eleanor thought about all the tests she had conducted, all the men who had failed them. She thought about the walls she had built, and the lies she had told, and the years she had spent so afraid of being hurt that she had forgotten how to be happy. And then she looked at Noah, at Lily, at this imperfect, perfect family that had somehow become hers. For the first time in her life, Eleanor Pierce stopped testing. She simply let herself be loved.